Today on the podcast, we have San Diego Wave and U.S. Women's National Team attacker Jaedyn Shaw. Jaedyn is just 19 years old, but already has 14 caps and 7 goals for the U.S. Women's National Team. She is one of the most exciting young players in the world. She is so much fun to watch. Just such a lethal finisher. She's so dangerous in and around the box. I cannot wait to watch her as she continues to grow into a superstar for both club and country. Jaedyn Shaw, welcome to the women's game.
Thank you so much. That was a really nice intro.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I work so hard on the intros, so I'm always happy when you guys like them.
No, that was amazing. I was like, oh, wow.
Okay, so first of all, you're from Frisco, Texas, but right now you're living in San Diego playing for the Wave. What's your favorite thing about San Diego?
My favorite thing about San Diego, I feel like I should say the weather. The weather is so nice, but recently it's been so muggy. And it's weird, but compared to Dallas, it's so nice here.
I know. I bet Dallas is like so humid.
Yeah, humid and hot.
Yeah.
So
yeah. How does the food compare, San Diego to Texas?
I think it's very different options. Like Texas got the barbecue, it's got like more soul food stuff and like Southern stuff, but here it's like Mexican food and like Asian food. There's a lot of Asian places around.
Nice.
Sushi is like bomb here. But yeah, I think it's like very different options between the two. So I honestly couldn't really pick either. I think just like a big make or break would be the barbecue. Like it's so bad here.
Yeah, I can imagine. I feel like California definitely not the spot for barbecue, but Texas definitely is.
Yes.
Okay, so I was doing some reading and I heard that you grew up playing strictly futsal until you were 12 years old. And for anybody who doesn't know, futsal is like a different style of soccer that's played a lot in South America. There's just like a little bit of a smaller and heavier ball, and it's played on a hard court, very technical game. So Jaedyn, tell us a little bit about your futsal background.
Yeah, I love futsal so much. I would play it still today if I was allowed to. I played for a club called City Futsal. Basically, we would like hold in-house tournaments, and then like teams from like Brazil and all, they would come here, and then vice versa. We would go to Brazil. We would train with the Santos teams. I trained with the women's Santos team. I stayed with their coach. Like it was literally just my team and the coaches, and then we all went. It was like no parents, no friends, family. It was just like a 9-year-old me with like a bunch of boys, and we all like went to Brazil, and we would train for like 2 weeks, and it would be so fun. Like I never wanted to leave. You can ask my mom. And then we had like tournament in Barcelona. We played against Barcelona. We lost 5-3, but I scored, and I was like, I won. Like,
oh my gosh.
I don't care what the score was, but yeah. And I played with the boys pretty much the whole time. Like even when we went to ESPN Wide World of Sports, like I played the girls tournament first, and then I would go play with the boys afterwards. And yeah, I love futsal so much, and I owe a lot of my game to futsal for sure.
Yeah, I guess my next question would be, when did you decide to make the change? Like, is there the same kind of, I imagine there's not the same kind of opportunities in futsal as there is for soccer. Was that part of your decision to like start introducing regular soccer into your life as well?
Yeah, I watched a lot of outdoor soccer, and I watched like the World Cups and like all of those things even while still playing futsal. So I guess end goal for me was always to play outdoor. I just like loved futsal so much, and I feel like it made me so much better, and it was so like technical and like just very small, and yeah, it was really a lot of fun. So I stayed for a while. It was eventually going to happen.
Yeah, it's such like a unique background story for somebody in your position, I feel like. Do you think you brought a lot of your futsal skills into the style of play that you play now?
I think so, yeah. I feel like when I played futsal, we played like a 2-2 instead of the diamond. So it was me and another guy in the back. So I was having to like basically like create the attacks and like find those like through passes to like get us progressing up the court, and like so basically I think that's where I get a lot of like my vision of the field, like through passes, timing, weight of the ball, like that kind of stuff that I think I bring to like the outdoor game. I feel like I got from futsal for sure. And then obviously like technical stuff, just like playing in tight spaces and
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's so crazy because I feel like you can just tell that you've done something special and different. Like being so young and just so talented, you do have such incredible vision on the field. Maybe futsal is the future of American soccer. While you were growing up, you've spoken about some of the sacrifices that your parents had to make in order to give you opportunities. And when I read that, it really resonated with me. I've spoken a lot about this before. I remember my dad getting up at like 4 a.m. to work this side job so that he could help pay for everything for me and my sister to travel. And he would then drive us all up and down the East Coast. We'd get back really late and he'd get up and he'd go to work the next day. And I feel like my parents made such a commitment to me and Christy early on that they were going to give us every opportunity they could, no matter what they had to do or what sacrifices they had to make. I really resonated with me when I saw that you had a similar experience. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what your parents were working through and what it was like for you and your brother to see them work so hard to give you opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar. Like, my mom and dad, they always said, like, they didn't get the opportunities. Their parents didn't really, like, support them in their sports much. So, like, they wanted to do exactly that for us. And I think for me, like, they really sacrificed a lot for me. Even my brother sacrificed a lot for me when he was little. And I mean, it was like my dad working like 15, 16-hour days to provide for us. And then my mom basically like got fired from her job because she was out with us and just like missing a lot of days. So like she started a t-shirt business and so that she could stay at home, homeschool me and like take me to all the trainings throughout the days, travel with me everywhere I went. We sized down to a 1-bedroom apartment. So my mom and my dad stayed in the bedroom. My brother and I shared a bed in the living room so that we had more like funds to work with so that I can like go to showcases, go to tournaments, pay for trips, and all of that so that I can get all of the opportunities that I can that ultimately like help me get to where I am. And they still like, my dad still works even though I'm like, dude, like you're like getting old, man, like sit down somewhere. And, but no, I mean, they still love it so much. Like my mom travels to some of the away games, still, and I still live with them. So it's still like really fun to be able to share this part of my career with them instead of just like them being on the back end and then like me just being like, okay, bye. Like I'm going to go play pro now. And it's like cool just being able to like share all parts of my career with them.
Yeah, that is so amazing. I love that you've shared that. I know that in the midst of all this, when you were 16, that you tore your ACL, it was during COVID. And I know that you had to do a lot of rehab on your own because like I can imagine going into PT, like there were certain rules at certain times. So I'm curious what that was like for you and your family. Like how were you able to cope with not only the injury, but the uncertainty of the recovery because it was such a crazy time in the world?
Yeah, I think honestly it almost helped me because I didn't want anyone to know. So it was my club coach that knew and like some of my private trainers that knew and like really nobody like knew like what happened to me where I was because nobody was really playing at all. So it was kind of like not good timing, but
why didn't you want anybody to know?
I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty like I grind behind closed doors. I like, like I'm a very like I'm gonna go and like work hard when nobody's watching. So I feel like I was just used to like that piece of it, like not really anybody knowing like what was going on with me. And then I just show up and I'm like bawling.
Sick.
But I mean, I think also because I tore it in pickups.
Oh.
Like my coaches told me all the time that I trained too much and that I was just like crazy with not taking care of my body, which I feel like I was fine. Like I felt like my best when I tore my ACL, which is crazy, like how that happens. Like I felt my healthiest. I was probably my fittest I had been. I was scoring a lot of goals and then it just like happens like that. And then you kind of start to backtrack a little and figure out how that happened. But yeah, there was just like I don't know. I guess I just didn't want people in my business. So I was like, I don't want people to know.
Fair enough. How did you like get through the actual rehab on your own?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, very blessed with the people that I worked with. Like my surgeon was He's the head surgeon for the Dallas Cowboys and like worked with Real Madrid a little. So like he's like he does this surgery in his sleep. And then my PT was like my surgeon's appointed PT. So like he was like, oh yeah, like we're gonna get you right,
nice.
girl. Like I don't care how many times you cry on this table. Like we're gonna get this scar tissue out. We're gonna get the swelling out.
We're gonna keep bending it.
Yeah, and I mean, genetics helped too. I got my quad strength back pretty quick, so it got me rolling. And the flexion and extension, my mom helped me a lot with that. We worked 8 a.m., 8 p.m. on all my exercises, so I got my leg to 90 really quick, and then I got like it fully extended, like getting the hyperextension out pretty quick, just doing it so diligently.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Do you kind of feel like the work ethic that your parents demonstrated for you and your brother was just passed down because you saw it, and that going through something like tearing your ACL and now being in the position that you're in, which we're going to get to, but do you feel you have the same work ethic as your parents?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't really know like what it's like to like not have to like work for something. Also just remembering like staying grounded, remembering where you come from. I feel like also our faith like comes in a lot with that, like not taking anything for granted, like, you know, just like continuing to earn everything and like being a good person along with it, and like knowing that it's not just for you, it's for you represent your family, you represent the kingdom, you represent, you know, like your club. So I feel like all of that is motivating to work harder and be better and help your team get better. So I mean, I feel like all of that was definitely instilled in us from like a young age with my parents.
Wow. Okay. Well, in the spring of 2022, right after you recovered from your ACL injury, you were training with the Washington Spirit. What was that jump like, going straight into your first professional environment and training with the Washington Spirit?
Oh, I loved training at the Spirit. I felt like it was great timing for me. I had just come back from my ACL like a couple months prior, but I was just like training with the boys. It was like the U19, so a lot of the girls are going to play high school instead of playing club, so like trainings weren't great. So I was just like training with the boys, doing private training, kind of like in this middle like ground, like not really going anywhere. And I feel like when I like was asked to train, I was like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be fun. And then when I moved there, I feel like I got so much better. Like I was like, okay, I can hang, but like this is fun, like this is challenging. I loved like all the girls, and yeah, I mean, I had like my group of a couple people that I like hung out with, and it was like really cool. I feel like it didn't seem like I was so young, even though like I was in like a separate locker room and all of that. It didn't.
Oh my gosh,
seem like
really? Because you weren't 18?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was 17, so it was like, yeah, I was in a different locker room. I was like not really around the girls that much until we went out on the field, and that's kind of where you earn your like, you know, your respect anyways. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm really grateful for that experience. Sure.
Did you feel like you knew you were ready to be in an environment like that? Like right when you got there, were you like, oh yeah, I'm a pro now. Like I can hang here and I get this.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as I started training, I was like, oh yeah, this is good for me. It's very challenging, and it's something that I've never done before, but I felt like I was ready for that jump, and I was like, yeah, I just love like being in an environment that you know that you're getting better in. And it's just like it's not a tangible feeling, like it just happens, and you know when you're there. So I feel like when I got there, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm about to rise up another level and learn a lot from this experience. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm like so excited for you. Okay, so at age 17 in July of 2022, you signed your first professional contract for the San Diego Wave. What did it feel like to take that next step into officially being a professional, your first contract of your professional career?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'd waited so long. Like, I was training with the Spirit for 7 straight months, so I was just like, can I play a game? Someone just let me play a game somewhere, anywhere. But when I finally signed, it was just like it was a sigh of relief, but it was also like, okay, like now you really gotta like show up now. It's not just training anymore, like you're playing games now, and this is like kind of what you've been waiting for so long. So it was just like, okay, but it was such a quick turnaround because I was like here for like a couple days, like a week, I think. And then we went to Chicago, played in Chicago, and I went straight from there to Costa Rica, or Houston and then Costa Rica for the U20s World Cup. So I missed
my
like another
gosh.
month of the league that year.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is really weird. Well, I know that when you went to Chicago, this was your first game for the Wave. 13 days after signing your first pro contract, you started in that game against Chicago, becoming at the time the second youngest player to compete in the NWSL. And in the 27th minute, you scored what ended up being the game winner. And you did not look brand new to the league at all in that moment. You received a ball in the box and you took this big touch around a defender and quickly slotted it home. How did you feel? Like, do you remember what was going through your mind when you scored your first goal?
It was crazy. I mean, like, I still look at the pictures from it and I'm like, that is just like not even me. Like I screamed something. I don't know what I screamed, but I was like, I'm like an introvert. Like I don't do that. So it's just like, I don't know what happened, but must have been real excited. And then, yeah, I mean, like when I got it in the box, I was like, okay, like I've done this a million times. Just take a touch. Somebody's coming across. And so take a touch and then just finish it. But yeah, it was so crazy. Like I was like, this is wild. I had a bunch of family there, so it was cool.
Oh, that is so cool. It just struck me because you looked so composed. And I would think that like this young new rookie would have just shot it on that first touch, but you just had this instinct to take your touch back across and give yourself an extra second, make the defender go by. It was so veteran of you. And I think it was like everybody's first insight into the player that you're becoming and that you are. You're just so exciting and so composed in the box. I wanted to ask you a little bit about one of your San Diego teammates, Alex Morgan. When you got to come into the Wave and start training with Alex Morgan, another attacker, such an icon of the game, like what have you learned from working with somebody like that every day?
Yeah, I mean, she is exactly that, an icon of the game. I feel like, I mean, she's been playing for quite a while, so I'd say, like, taking care of your body, like, that girl, she's in the treatment room doing her exercises, diligent with recoveries, like, even with a 4-year-old, she's still, like, doing what she needs to do, and I'm like, I'm out here, I'm just taking a nap, like, that's it.
Naps are good too.
But yeah, no, she's so diligent with all of that stuff. And I remember the first game in Snapdragon, my first year, it was against Angel City. After I scored, she was like, take it in, like, slow down, like, look at how many people are like screaming for you, like, and just like enjoying those moments. And I feel like that has really stuck with me, like, even now, like, whether things are going good, whether things are going bad, just enjoying, like, the moment, enjoying the process, like, being content where you are, obviously being a competitor and wanting to be great, but knowing, like, you're where you are, like, where you're supposed to be, and, like, just enjoying that piece of it. And I think that I've really, like, taken that with me, and I think I will continue to. Yeah.
That is such great advice. And it kind of leads me into a few questions about the national team. You're getting so much experience with the national team already. You got your first call up to the senior team in September of 2023 at just 18 years of age. And you've been, of course, on the U.S. youth national teams before. You mentioned the U20 World Cup. But obviously a call up to the senior team is like different. It's a huge deal. How did you find out that you'd been called into camp?
Well, I was like talking to Casey, actually, my coach, and we were having like a Clips meeting or something, and she said something about congratulations, and I was like, on what? What do you mean? Congratulations on what? And then I got the email like 2 minutes after that, and I was like, oh wow,
oh my God,
just
spilled the beans.
Yeah, but I didn't even know. Like, it came in like literally, I was still sitting there, and I was like, thanks.
What did you think?
I was freaking out. I was like, okay, excited, nervous. I don't know what to do. How do I react? Do I cry? Do I scream? Let me call my mom. She'll tell me what to do.
Yeah, and what did she say?
Yeah, she was crying. So I was like, you'll do the crying, and then I'll just be over here excited and nervous and freaking out a little.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, you then made your national team debut in October. You scored your first goal in your second cap, classic, a really smart finish off a pass from Melissa Thompson against Colombia. Can you talk me through that first goal? Like, what are your memories of your first national team goal?
Yeah, I mean, that one was crazy too because it was in San Diego, so it was all of my home fans. And yeah, I saw Alyssa win the ball, and I had like a ton of space to run in between the center backs, and I was like, oh yeah, like, I'm just gonna run and I trusted she's going to play it, and she did. And then the keeper came out real fast, so I was like, oh, I got to toe poke it real quick. I didn't have time to get around her, but yeah, no, it was crazy. And then I think they were screaming my name afterwards, like the fans, and I was like, oh, wow, this is like this is a different like feeling
so cool.
playing for your country. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Did you always look up to the national team growing up?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
For sure.
I know. I always think the best way to describe it was that it was so full circle, because I literally was like in the crowd cheering for like Mia Hamm and the whole team and like begging for an autograph. And then when I was in that position playing for the national team and people wanted my autograph, I always remember like I couldn't be here if I hadn't been there before. And it's just this very full circle feeling that it's so cool to kind of see it continue to get passed down, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just like you now see all the little girls or little boys in the stands, and you're like, wow, that was literally me like a couple years ago. And I feel like it makes you more like grateful and like content where you are, and you're like, wow, this is like what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I've dreamed of for so long. So it really like grounds you a little bit, and you're like, wow, this is nice.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, so the national team's been going through a little bit of a transition, a pretty big transition. It was a disappointing performance at the World Cup last summer, but some younger players have been brought in and are being asked to play really big roles. Like you, Jenna Neiswanger, and Sam Coffey are among some of those new names. How have you adjusted to the expectations that are being put on you to contribute to the national team so early in your U.S. women's national team career?
I think it's cool. I mean, I've always loved a little bit of pressure. I think that, like, I think that it's really motivating being, like, one of the younger players or, like, the new era, whatever people want to call it. It's very cool, like, being in that position because, I don't know, I feel like you can just, like, be you and, like, people are open to, like, new styles of play, new, like, players coming in and, like, playing differently. And so I feel like it allows you to be more of yourself and not so like structured in a box. And that's something that I've talked to like the coaches about. Like, I don't do well in a box, and I feel like I love to be creative. I love to move around, drift places, combine, and I think that that's something that's really fun and makes the game fun to play and to watch. So I feel like we've got great players like to do those things, and the coaches are like very much like, let's be creative, let's, play, let's, and enjoy the process and build like that chemistry and that trust between one another.
Yeah, I was going to say that kind of tactical flexibility sounds a lot like Emma Hayes' style anyway. Emma Hayes, the new U.S. women's national team manager, who just took charge of her first camp as the head coach, and you guys won both games against South Korea. Can you tell us like your early impressions of Emma? Like, what was camp like with a new coach?
I love her already. I think she's great. I think all of us are very excited for this like new beginning, and it's going to be a process, and that's something that she really instills in us. Like, enjoy the process, and enjoy the like everything that's going to come with it. There's going to be lows, there's going to be highs, but like we're all going to be in it together. And as long as we trust each other, and if it's the right run to make and all of us make it, then great. If it's not, we're all still going to make it together and, just learn from those like pieces on the game. And I feel like it's going to be really good, and I'm really excited for everything, whether that I'm in it or not. I think that it's just going to be really good for the team and for the future.
Well, I feel very confident that you're going to be in it, Jaden, but I like totally get it, because even if you had like, when I was on the team, even if you had like started every game for a year, of course, every single person is still so nervous about the roster getting named. The Olympics roster is a really, really hard roster to make. It's only 18 players. There's 4 alternates that go. It's a really fast tournament and just a really small roster. So how are you feeling about being in and around the team and waiting for this roster to get named?
Yeah, I'm like honestly just like, girl, just like play good in the league and stay healthy. Like, I mean, don't think too much on it, because then you're just not going to play well here. So I think just like taking advantage of all the opportunities that you get here, and just like and with the Wave, and just like performing well, staying healthy, doing all of the recovery stuff like I said earlier, and yeah, just I feel like I'm feeling nervous, clearly, but I think just trying to focus on where I'm at, like right now, I think has helped me just make the time go by a little faster.
Yeah, really smart. I understand you're nervous. It makes so much sense. You're doing so great. Have you ever been to France before?
Yeah, I have a couple times actually. I love France, so it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, fingers crossed, Jaden. I'm cheering for you. The other thing we always talk about with the Olympics, besides the roster being so small, is this quick turnaround between games. So the cadence is like game, then the next day you travel, the next day you train, and then it's a game again. So it's just really fast, and recovery, you kind of were mentioning recovery earlier, is just so paramount. It might also maybe suggest like a younger roster, considering people just need to be ready to go again so quickly. But I'm curious some of the ways that the national team staff have been preparing you for a quick turnaround between games. We're going to squeeze 6 games into 17 days. And so what are some of the things you guys are talking about in camp about how to recover so quickly in between?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like we had a little bit of a trial run with the Gold Cup. There wasn't as much travel, but it was like game, 3 days game.
Yep.
So, I mean, just they're really good with having like all of the recovery stuff, like the Normatex, the like we have the hyperbaric chamber. I don't know if you had that in camps. And I'm sure they'll have like cryo, red light, all of that stuff for us. So
everything.
I'm sure they're very prepared, and they have like this other thing that's like for travel. It gives you like pills, like if you need vitamin D or if you need like fish oil or whatever, it like tells you what you need based on travel and how much sleep you get. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's like so
the technology, I'm like, okay, cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I feel like we have also like just great staff, so I feel like they'll be really diligent and everything and help us like just stay healthy.
Yeah. What's your go-to recovery? Like, what's the one thing you swear by?
Cryo and red light. That's like my go-to.
Nice.
Like even with my ACL, I did a lot of like localized red light therapy. Helped a lot with my swelling. Helped a lot with scarring and healing and stuff. So I feel like that red light is like my thing.
Yeah. I'm a huge massage girl. Like I'm still out here, not a professional athlete. I'm like, I need a massage.
Yes. My parents know by now. Like, we didn't grow up having any of that, but like now my mom's like, girl, you gonna get your massage? I'm like, you already know. You already know. I got it scheduled already.
Exactly. Well, speaking of your mom, I know that your mom is Vietnamese and that you are actually the first ever Vietnamese American to represent the U.S. women's national team. Can you tell me a little bit about your heritage and what it means to you to be the first ever Vietnamese American to play for the U.S. women's national team?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know that until like I was on the national team. I was like, oh, like I'm the first one, like ever. Okay. But no, I mean, I love both of my cultures. Like I did like all holidays. It was like double. So like one on my mom's side, one on my dad's side. It'd be like Eve on my mom's side. You get all like the Asian dishes and you wear red and it's like very fancy, and then you go to my dad's side and it's like it's chill, it's cool. You get a ton of presents, you open it in your PJs, like it's a whole different vibe over there. And it's like it's so cool just having like both of those experiences and being able to like take both of those with me to wherever I go. And I feel like I've been really grateful for both sides, and they've both been really supportive.
That's amazing. Well, we have just like 2 or 3 questions from listeners, and then I'm going to let you go. And Khan on X actually asked, what is your favorite Vietnamese dish?
Ooh. My favorite Vietnamese dish is called Tit Kho. So it's basically like got caramelized like pork, I think, is in it. Yeah, and then it's got like eggs and like it's traditional for like we had it during like Lunar New Year every year. You can look it up. It's so good. It's like my favorite thing. And then I think a close second would be just like pho, which is like everybody knows pho.
Everybody knows pho. Oh my gosh, yum. Okay. Collins on Instagram asked, what player were you most excited to play with or against as a rookie?
I was super excited to play against Mal. I looked up to her a lot. Like when I was younger, I like played in the like WSL like a long time. I was like 12 and I played one game with like the FC Dallas team, and I was like, oh, like this is like a pro game, so I was like, I'm gonna wear the Malpew ponytail with the black pre-wrap, and so I straightened my hair for this game, and I put on black pre-wrap, and I can maybe find the video, but yeah, I literally had like this high ponytail, and it was like black pre-wrap, and I was like, I got the Malpew
oh my god,
ponytail.
Cute. Wait,
yeah, I told
we
her
definitely
the story. It was kind of embarrassing.
What, did she just laugh?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we definitely want the video. We want pictures of that. That's amazing. Okay, one more question. I feel like this isn't even gonna like apply to Gen Z, but 22 Spoons on Instagram asked, were you a Nickelodeon kid or a Disney kid? And I'm like really concerned that you're gonna be like neither.
No. Nickelodeon. 100% Nickelodeon.
Oh my god, really? Like what was your favorite show?
I watched a lot of Victoria's. I wasn't one of those kids that wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob, so I watched SpongeBob. Sorry.
You don't have to say sorry to me. I was allowed to watch SpongeBob too.
I was allowed to watch SpongeBob. Victorious was a big one for me. Drake and Josh, I think, is Nickelodeon. Yeah.
Yeah, but you seem too young for Drake and Josh. Did that just keep going?
I have an older sister.
Oh.
I did everything she did.
Okay, well, I was very decidedly a Disney kid. I loved Hannah Montana. Did you ever watch that?
Yes, but it wasn't my thing. I don't know why.
Well, I'm like so embarrassed.
It's a great show. I watched it plenty of times. It just wasn't my like go-to, you know.
I get it. We just have different tastes, Jaden. That's okay. I am still cheering for you. It's been so much fun to chat with you today and get to know you a little bit. I never had the opportunity to play with you, sadly, but you seem so grounded, and I'm so thrilled to see you having such success so early in your career. San Diego and the U.S. are so lucky to have a player like you. You're a scoring threat with great vision, great technical ability from all that futsal, and you clearly have the humility and the hunger to keep growing and improving. I'm really excited for you and for all that's to come. And I wish you and the team the best of luck at the Olympics. I'll be crossing my fingers for you.
Thank you so much. That was a great outro, too. You're on a roll. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jaden. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, this is great. I finally get to talk to you. Hello. I looked up to you a lot. Hello.
Oh, thank you. That is so nice. Thank you all so much for being here. Jaden was so fun to talk to. She spoke so highly of Emma Hayes, like right off the bat. And she also spoke with such maturity and wisdom about this journey that the national team is on right now. Obviously, I'm so impressed with Jaden as a player and have been a fan of hers from afar for a while. But I feel like doing this interview, I really got to know her personality a little bit better. And now I'm like Jaden Shaw, #1 fan. Speaking of being a #1 fan, next week's guest, you guys, this is a huge deal. It's Marta. I know, I was freaking out too. Something really embarrassing happened halfway through where somebody came to my door and I had to go downstairs because my dog was barking, and I left Marta sitting here at her computer screen. It was so horrifying, but it was so cool to talk to Marta and ask her about Orlando's incredible run this year. Her last tournament is coming up this summer with Brazil, and we even got to ask her some of the questions that you all sent in for her. So you definitely do not want to miss that interview coming out next week. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast feed, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow along with us on social at Women's Game MIB. You can also always send me an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com, and I might even read it aloud on the show. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you soon.